it's cool to have huge erectors, but he's got a little bit of like almost overdevelopment in that area because he's fucking lazy and fat at the bottom of the lift. Everybody's a little different. Some people like to generate a lot of force and power off the floor with a slightly rounded back, and so maybe that's what he's doing. He pulls 800 pounds, it's a whole lot more than I do, but I still think it can be a limiting factor as you get to 810, 815, 825, and so on, because it makes the lockout so much harder when you're rounded. All right, we're here with Steve Gentile. He unfortunately just missed an 805 deadlift. I was talking to him a little bit earlier about his back getting rounded and his hips kind of getting away from him when he goes to do the deadlift. Hips kind of got like tucked underneath him a bunch, and then it's really like impossible to really lock anything out from here. It's almost just like your body is completely restricted. You're in a really weird compromised position to be able to really use any muscle, and he's got tons of muscle. So I'm going to kind of show him a variation of the deadlift that now allow him to get in better position. So we're going to keep this really simple. There's a bunch of different techniques that we can use and a bunch of different things that we can utilize to achieve the same thing. But for today, all I'm going to have him do is go down slow on his deadlift and do what I like to call reverse engineer the deadlift. So you're going to pick the weight up. When you pick the weight up, each time we're going to try to get as flat of a back as possible. So you're going to notice, like on rep number 1, his back still may be actually round a little bit because this will be the first pull off the floor. Once he picks the weight up, then you're going to really try to exaggerate from the top and really keep the back tight. You're going to take like a 3 or 4 second descent on the way down and really try to keep your hips high and your back flat. And let's try about 4 to 5 reps, okay? I'll just keep cueing you the whole time you're going here. Trying to get right in here, trying to get that flat. Leave the hips up a little higher. Yep. You can see now as he's starting to come down, the weights are starting to shake a little bit. He's not used to kind of being in his hamstrings that much. There you go. Good. Just keep pushing the hips back. Once you get to the top, keep pushing those hips back. There you go. Don't fall at any part of the lift. Keep tight. Good, last one. Good. Keep tight all the way down. Good. So on the next one, we're going to even try to get it to be even a little stricter. As he was coming down towards the bottom of that lift, you were falling just a little bit, and I'd still like to see you kind of bend your knees a little bit more. And then rather than rest on the ground, we're going to try to reverse the weight explosively, just barely kind of kissing the ground each time, and then reversing the weight back up aggressively. We'll have him rest a little bit, and then we'll try that. All right, gonna have Big Steve here do another set. It's gonna look a little similar, but again, we're just gonna have him barely touch the ground, keep the tension on the whole time, 4 to 5 reps. Yeah, right there, yeah. Good. Keep your eyes up a little bit more. Right there, yep. Just keep pushing back in your hamstrings. Eyes up. Good. See how he's having a hard time keeping that back flat, especially as he gets to the very bottom of the lift. Good. How does that feel? Terrible? Oh, shit. See, the thing is you can get a lot out of using lighter weights, and it gives you an opportunity to work on perfecting your form. When you're going heavy all the time, you really can't work on form. You don't have the time to do it. The weights are too heavy. They're not going to allow you to keep your form. In this case, with some sub-maximal weights, there's a bunch of different things we can do. On the next set, I'm going to have him switch it up and even do something slightly different. Hopefully he doesn't die. All right, so on this one, I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I'm going to have to throw in an extra rep, which will be hard.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So 6 reps. And you can wear a belt if you want, but we're going to do rep number 1 is going to be a regular deadlift. Rep number 2 is going to be a stiff leg deadlift. And then we're just going to repeat that. So rep number 1, conventional deadlift. Rep number 2, stiff leg deadlift. We can go back and forth between the two. So I want you to learn where your hips are. And I want you to try to keep your back as flat as you possibly can the whole time.
That same tempo the whole time, like slow control?
Yeah, I still want you to try to control the eccentric. Throw a belt on so you got a little more.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, first with the regular deadlift. So even just the way that you bend down, okay, in the beginning, bend right from the waist. Yep, there you go. Good. Good. Then put your legs into it. There you go. Good. Stiff leg. Regular deadlift. Get your legs in there. Drive hard with your legs. Press your legs into the floor. Good. Stiff leg. Sit back, sit back, sit back, sit back. Good. There you go. Convention. Nice. Good. And the last stiff leg. Still bring it up. Bring it up. There you go. Good. Nice. Good. Now, some of the techniques and some of the stuff I showed them, you can incorporate that stuff every other week, or you can incorporate it after your regular deadlifts. If you're the kind of guy, like a lot of people, a lot of heavy deadlifters like to only deadlift heavy like once or twice a month. And so you can kind of do some of this stuff in between, be sub-maximal work. Another exercise you can do, which I'll make him do in a second, so he completely falls apart, is a snatch grip deadlift with some lifting straps. Now a snatch grip deadlift is kind of the ultimate test of being able to keep your back from turning into a fucking fishing pole when you're doing a heavy deadlift, because your hands are out so wide, and a lot of times it's going to start to really round you, or really help build up the lats. Again, these exercises, they're probably best to utilize every other week in between lifting heavy, whether your program is 5 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 3 or whatever combination thereof. Probably best to put these in between, so that every other week you're lifting heavy or pushing the envelope about every other week. With these, as you can see, you don't need to lift heavy. We got 4 plates on here, and this is a guy that's deadlifted 700 pounds before. So anyway, it can also be used as assistance exercises. We got one more to show him. We're going to show him the snatch grip deadlift. All right, we gave Big Steve here a bunch of options on what he can do with his deadlift. He can take the deadlift and he can just stick it straight up his ass and suck at it forever, or he can listen to some of the options I gave him and get more betterist. The option I'm going to have him do right here, remember these are all separate. These aren't things you're going to do all in one day, otherwise you'll keel over. We're going to have him do a snatch grip deadlift. We're going to have him, even though I have him doing it all in one day. He's like, what the fuck? We're going to have him do a snatch grip deadlift. So he's going to have his hands excessively wide outside the power rings there. And what you're going to notice is going to end up in quite a compromised position. Lower back is really going to get rounded. And now what this is going to do is that we know that he's going to get in some compromising shitty positions. I call this lifting like shit because it's going to allow him to pull himself out of some compromised positions that we already know that he's going to get himself in. So while it's great to train perfectly and it's great to have great execution, realistically, you're probably not always going to be able to execute so excellently all the time. So this exercise is going to help him pull out of some shitty positions. Snatch grip deadlift. Right here, he's going to do about a set of like about 3 to 5 repetitions.
You want me to try to keep that same tempo, or just pull it?
Just pull it whatever way you can on these guys. There you go, good. Last rep, really see we're tapping into the lower back, mid back, upper back, trap, lats, everything's getting fried on this particular lift. This would be something you would do probably for 3 sets of 5, maybe even 5 sets of 5 if you really wanted to push the envelope. These are a bunch of different exercises I gave him to help him to kind of keep his back a little flatter. A lot of times people want to try to get their back flat by just improving their technique with sub-maximal weights, by trying to perform the lift perfectly over and over again. And that's a good way to do it. But if you don't strengthen where you're weak, and if you don't strengthen these compromised positions that you get into, you'll actually never really be able to overcome it. These weird issues that you run into will continue to rear their ugly head every time you try to go heavy. So even though you missed the 805 deadlift, I fully expect next time we see him compete, which will be at Barbell Brigade in April, I think.
June.
In June, at Barbell Brigade in Los Angeles, California in June. Make sure you check it out. This fucking beast is gonna be there. He's probably gonna bench over 550. He's probably gonna squat like 315, and he's gonna deadlift probably about 815, 820 pounds if we get him dialed in just right.